the suggestion. She looked nervous, too nervous for just another Thursday evening. I had just gotten home from a 12-hour shift, dust still clinging to my boots, back aching, starving. But I knew something was off the second I saw her at the kitchen table, sitting too straight, eyes fixed on her untouched tea. "I've been thinking," she started. I knew that tone. I'd heard it in stories from friends. That's the tone people use when they're about to rewrite the rules. "I think we should take a break." I stopped in my tracks, chopsticks halfway to my mouth. "A break? Just 2 weeks. We pretend we're not married. No contact. Time to reflect. To see how we feel." It didn't even sound like her. It sounded like Ashley, her newly divorced best friend who spoke in Instagram quotes and relationship mantras pulled from podcasts. This wasn't about reflection. This was a test. She wanted to see if I'd beg, panic, fight for her. I didn't flinch, didn't yell. I just nodded slowly. "If that's what you want." The look on her face? She wasn't expecting that. She was ready for drama. A meltdown. Instead, I stood up, grabbed my cold sweet and sour pork, and started eating like she'd asked me to pick up almond milk on the way home. That night, she packed 2 suitcases. I helped her carry them to her Civic. No goodbyes. No guilt. Just her pulling away into the night while I locked the door behind her and stared at the silence that settled over the house. Funny thing about silence, it felt like relief. I ordered a large pizza, turned on a game I hadn't watched in months, and sat there in my own home without judgment. For the first time in a long while, I wasn't walking on eggshells. 3 days later, the quiet shattered. Her Instagram story lit up my phone, Allah smiling wrapped around some guy at a rooftop bar. His hand on her waist. Her cheek pressed to his shoulder. The caption said it all, "Finding peace in unexpected places dizzy dot." And just like that, the test was over. I didn't text her. I changed the locks. And put all her stuff on the porch. Because if this was her idea of finding peace, she was about to learn what final felt like. Chapter 2: The Setup. The night after I saw her post, I didn't sleep. Not because I missed her. Because I didn't. Not even a little. I sat in the workshop I built with my own hands. Oak shelves, custom bench, every tool where it should be. I stared at the photo of Ella and that guy and realized something I hadn't wanted to admit. She wasn't confused. She was prepared. This break wasn't a test. It was a runway. And she'd been planning takeoff for weeks. The next morning, I poured myself a coffee, opened our joint accounts, and started taking notes. I made a list: shared savings, credit cards, her student loans, everything we'd built and everything I'd funded. I'd been throwing extra money at her loans for 2 years. And here she was sipping cocktails with some guy on my dime. I moved half of our joint savings into my personal account. Perfectly legal, marital assets, equal rights. Then I changed my direct deposit. From that day forward, every cent I earned went to a bank only I had access to. Then came the locks. I replaced every one: front door, back door, garage. Not to be dramatic, but to send a message: her key doesn't work here anymore. By day 5, she still hadn't reached out. Not a call. Not even a, "How are you?" I guess she thought I'd be crying into my cereal, waiting to realize what I had. Instead, I was rebuilding, quietly, methodically. That Saturday, Stefan dropped by. My best friend since college. He brought Thai food and sarcasm. "So Romeo, how's the solo life?" "Peaceful," I said. She posted herself hugging another guy. Stefan stopped mid-chew. "Already?" I nodded. "She's fast. She thinks I'll chase her." He laughed. "Then give her something to chase." We set up a fantasy league that night. A pad thai. Laugh. And for the first time in months, I felt like myself again. On the 7th day, I got a text from her. "Hope you're thinking about us." I showed Stefan. "What do you make of this?" He didn't even blink. Translation: "Why aren't you broken yet?" But it was day 10 that changed everything. A message popped up from a number I didn't recognize. "Hey, how are you holding up?" It was Ashley. Her best friend. The one who'd been whispering poison into my wife's ears. And the one, it turns out, who was ready to step into my wife's shoes. The bait. I stared at Ashley's text for a full minute before replying. "Doing okay. This whole thing is weird." She answered almost instantly. "Maybe we could grab coffee and talk about it?" Might help. I knew exactly what she was doing. She wasn't reaching out as a friend. She was testing the waters, seeing how much of the wreckage she could swim through before claiming what was left. But I didn't shut it down. Instead, I said, "Sure. That might help." We met at a Starbucks near her apartment. She showed up dressed for a nightclub, not a casual coffee. Tight black dress. Heels that clicked across the floor like she was entering a courtroom with a case to win. Her perfume hit me before her smile did. "Thanks for meeting me," she said, leaning forward across the table. The neckline of her dress dipped just enough to make her intentions very, very clear. "I feel awful about all of this. You and Ella. I just didn't see it coming." "Sure you didn't," I thought, while you whispered breakup advice every week like a serpent with a podcast addiction. "Were we really good together?" she asked, sipping her latte slowly. "You tell me," I said, keeping my voice even. Ashley reached out and gently touched my hand. Her nails were blood red. Perfectly done. The kind of detail you don't notice unless you're meant to. "You deserve someone who truly sees you," she said softly. The bait was set. And I knew better than to bite, at least not yet. Over the next few days her texts came like clockwork. Morning check-ins. Midday flirts. Evening selfies with captions like, "Thinking of you during this difficult time." Every word crafted to paint her as the loyal, patient friend who just happened to be there when my marriage crumbled. Stefan read every one with increasing disbelief. "Bro," he said, holding up her latest pic, Ashley in gym leggings and a smirk. "She's trying to become the sequel to a movie she helped ruin." I kept playing along. Not because I was interested. Because I needed to know how deep this really went. Then came the text that shifted everything. "I have something to tell you, but I don't know if I should." My fingers hovered over the screen. "What is it? Can we meet?" "It's not something for text." The next night we sat at the same cafe. Ashley looked nervous this time, eyes darting toward the window every few seconds. "I shouldn't be saying this," she whispered. "But Ella's seeing someone." I didn't blink. Just tilted my head slightly. "You sure?" "I saw them at dinner. His name is Scott. They've been sneaking around, and it's not innocent." She reached for my hand again. "I'm so sorry. I just thought, you deserve to know." I nodded slowly. And that was the moment I stopped playing along. And started building the case. Chapter 4. The Evidence. I drove home in silence after that meeting with Ashley. Not because I was shocked, but because I wasn't. She'd finally said what I already suspected. Ella wasn't finding herself. She was finding Scott, a marketing exec from Austin with slick hair, a BMW, and apparently no issue sleeping with married women. I sat at my desk, took a deep breath, and opened her iPad. Still logged in. Still synced. Still naive. Her iMessages loaded slowly at first, like even the device hesitated to show me what was inside. But there it was, 3 weeks worth of digital footprints. Conversations with Scott that started innocent enough. Work chatter. Marketing complaints. Inside jokes. Then around week 2 it shifted. Her texts turned soft, then intimate, then bold. "Talking to you makes me feel seen again." I forgot what butterflies felt like. The most recent string was explicit. Hotel plans. Risque photos. Voice notes I didn't dare open. One message stood out. Sent the same night she messaged me saying, "Hope you're thinking about us." She sent him a photo from the hotel bed. I kept reading. Numb. Methodical. Then I pulled up our joint credit card statement. There it was. 3 restaurant charges, upscale places I'd never even heard of. And then the smoking gun, the Omni downtown. $280 for one night. Paid with our joint card. She didn't even bother to hide the evidence. I saved every screenshot. Messages. Receipts. Dates. Timestamps. Transferred them to my personal cloud. Then I called Dave. He's not just a lawyer. He's my lawyer. Straight shooter. No nonsense. The kind of guy who once told me, never argue with a fool. Just let them trip on their own lies. I told him everything. Sent the files. "You've got her," he said. "Open and shut. With this kind of proof, you're walking away with the house, most of the assets, and no spousal support." "Good," I said. "I want it airtight." He paused. "What's your plan in the meantime?" I looked out the window. The porch lights flickered slightly in the wind. "I'm going to the turn." Ashley thought she had me. She kept texting, gentle check-ins, comforting words, photos that were almost innocent. A gym mirror selfie here, a dinner plate captioned "Eating alone again" there. Every message was wrapped in faux concern but laced with anticipation. She wasn't just waiting for me to break. She was waiting for her prize. One night she messaged, "I feel so guilty. If I hadn't told you, maybe you two could have worked it out." I responded with what she needed to hear. "You did the right thing. I needed the truth." She replied in seconds. "I just hate seeing you go through this. You deserve so much better. And when you're ready, I'll be here. In whatever way you need." That line told me everything. This wasn't a woman who stumbled into a mess. This was a woman who planned it, step by manipulative step. The timing couldn't have been better. Dave had everything prepared. Divorce petition, full documentation, evidence organized down to the timestamps. I wanted this next part to be poetic. So I served her at work. A professional process server, clean-cut in a black blazer, walked into her office reception with a large envelope in hand. Ella Rivera? She nodded, half-smile on her face, probably expecting flowers. You've been served. Her call came within the hour. What the hell is this? Divorce papers. With evidence. This was supposed to be temporary. A break. We were going to fix things. You were fixing things with Scott at the Omni? Hope it was worth the $280. Silence. Then, how did you? Your iPad. Still logged in. iCloud's a wonderful thing. Her voice turned shrill. You went through my private messages? And found 47 of them planning dates with another man. You know what that's called? Evidence. She tried every angle, denial, gaslighting, even crocodile tears. But then came the real Ella. The one beneath the filtered selfies and recycled self-help quotes. You know what? I'm glad I did it. Scott appreciates me. He makes me feel like someone. And he makes you feel like dinner too, judging by all those receipts. That's when her voice cracked into pure venom. At least he doesn't spend his life welding garbage and coming home smelling like sweat. There it was. The final mask peeled away. The man who built her kitchen, paid her loans, covered the mortgage. Suddenly I was just a dirty welder. Disposable. I hung up. Come. And just before I could even process the anger properly, Ashley texted again. Hey, how about dinner? Let me take your mind off things. I stared at the screen for a moment, and then I smiled. It was time to return the favor. Chapter 6, The Showdown. Ashley picked the restaurant, Meridian, downtown, white tablecloths and overpriced appetizers designed for Instagram, not appetite. She showed up in a dress that probably cost more than my month's utility bills. Makeup flawless. Hair curled like she just walked out of a magazine shoot. This wasn't just dinner to her. This was a coronation. I'm so proud of how you've handled everything, she purred across the table. You were so strong. I had good support, I replied flat. She leaned forward, rested her manicured fingers on mine. And now we can finally be honest. About what's been building between us. I stared at her, at the carefully constructed illusion. And then, I dropped it. Ashley, you destroyed my marriage. She blinked. What? Twice. What? No. You encouraged her to take a break. Fed her lies. Whispered doubts until she couldn't hear her own voice anymore. Then you came to me like a savior, offering the truth you helped orchestrate. Her hand retracted like I'd slapped it. I cared about you, she whispered. I cared about both of you. No, I said, rising from my seat. You cared about the outcome. About being chosen. About wearing the crown after you burned the castle down. She stood up too, voice rising. Where are you going? We haven't even had dinner. Home, I said. Alone. To the house I kept because I was smart enough not to trust people like you. Her face crumbled, but I wasn't done yet. Earlier that day I'd sent a single text. Ella, Ashley wants to confess something about Scott. She says it's important you hear it in person. And right on cue the door opened. Ella stepped into the restaurant like a storm rolling in. What is she doing here? Ashley hissed. I'll let you two talk, I said, walking past Ella, who didn't even look at me. Her eyes were locked on her former best friend. As I stepped outside I called Stefan. You might want to swing by Meridian. Why? Because the life coach is about to get her performance review. Through the glass I saw it all unfold. The shouting. The pointing. The raw betrayal. Ella's voice cut through the noise. You set me up. You destroyed my marriage just to take him. Ashley screamed back, but the cracks were showing. And then, something flew. A glass? A purse? I couldn't tell. But it smashed against the wall and chaos erupted. Stefan pulled up as plates hit the floor. Dude, this is better than pay-per-view. By the time police arrived, both women were cuffed and hauled out. Mascara smudged, hair wild, still cursing each other through the windows of separate patrol cars. Ella called the next morning from county jail. This is all your fault, she snapped. You trashed a restaurant fighting your best friend over the guy you both betrayed. That's not my fault. That's karma with a side of spectacle. You need to bail me out. I'm your wife. Ex-wife. As of yesterday. Click. She never called again. Ashley tried. Texts. Emails. She even showed up once crying. I didn't answer the door. Instead, I lit the good candle, made steak for one, and watched the TikTok remix of their brawl with sound effects and cartoon punches. Trash has a way of taking itself out. And now, the house is quiet. What? I replaced her scented candles with real ones, her throw pillows with a proper couch, and her noise with peace. Because sometimes the best revenge is peace.